Hello, sunshine. It has been a minute. It has been a minute, hasn't it? Well, July is a time that this gal usually takes a little time to herself, a little time to decompress, hold some space for myself. And I share a lot about this and how we need to hug it out with ourselves, right? And self-healing, self-understanding, self-gratitude. And if I am not practicing what I preach, what is it all for? How can I be good at what I do if I'm not doing for me first, right? And trust me, I had a few moments. I was sitting there thinking like, no, I've got to put out a podcast episode every week. I can't take time off. I need to share. I need to do. And it's really me saying to myself, Hill, you don't need to do, you just need to be, right? We've talked about that before. Be a human being, not a human doing. And when I thought about the fact that, I'm letting you down, that inner dialogue that's coming in, trying to be perfect with everything, I had to just stop and put the kibosh on that one. Nip it in the bud, because I know that you are here for the long haul. I know that you've been around for the past 3 years and you're part of this high vibing tribe, a devoted listener, and that means something to me. And you're here for a reason. And when I reminded myself of that, because we've been through this every July, I tell myself this silly story. I realized that you're good people. You're tuning in for a reason. You respect my personal space as much as I respect yours. So I guess I can say thank you. Thank you for appreciating that, for allowing me to have this time to self. So I want to ask you, what have you been up to? What have you been doing this last month? Have you given yourself that time? Let me know. Share with me. Tell me what's been going on with you this summer. What have you done to be a human being rather than a human doing? And you can still do things, but it comes from being that human being first, right? And I love hearing from you anyway. So drop me a line at HIListicallyspeaking@gmail.com, or you can even level up and leave me a voice message at speakpipe.com/HIListicallyspeaking. And I might just share it on the show. I want to amplify your voice. I want to know where you're coming from. I want to put it to work. Of course, I always read your reviews. I always read your comments. So keep them coming. This is what gives me life. This is why I'm here week after week, because you are still here listening and you're tuned in. And that really means something to me because you're doing it on so many different levels. So as you know, June was super busy for me, right? I was traveling a lot. I was speaking around the world. I was doing all these conferences. It was so amazing. And it was really piling up. The summer had me going to Europe, and I was speaking at the Global Havening Conference in Dublin, and I went to Amsterdam, and then I was speaking at the She Podcast Live, which wound up being a virtual event, but I was like ready. Right? And a lot of other things were happening. So when July came around, I was really ready just to take a little break. And it was great. I hit the beach. I spent time with friends and family. I visited my mom. I've been connecting and creating, and it has been awesome. And by the way, I'm not done. We still have a whole nother month left, but I wanted to take kind of a midsummer break to check in with you. And I even launched something a little earlier than expected. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that if you give me a moment. So as you know, I've been on the Daily Burn 365 fitness show for about 8 years now. And it is a live streaming fitness show. And I've been with them since day one. I'm what they call the OG of the group. One of very few original gangsters of the group that have been a part of the show since 2015. And it came to a pretty quick end, a halt, the 365 show, without much warning. And a big part of the Daily Burn 365 show is that there's a huge community, a really important community. We check in with each other, and that end put a lot of people with nowhere to go, right? So what I plan to launch at the end of the summer, the Hug It Out Collective, right? This Facebook group, which is holding space for you to turn your traumas into triumphs, just like we do here, but on a more personal level. I decided to launch the community much earlier because we focus so much on the physical in the Daily Burn community, I wanted to turn from physical fitness into mental fitness because that's what I do, right? That's what we're doing here is the mental fitness support that is also needed. So I decided to drop it early. And this is a group that's surrounded by incredible people, right? It's a community that truly embodies that hug it out mission, which is about the self healing, the self understanding, and the self gratitude, HUG, right? But it also is a community that is helping you stay on top of your physical fitness. You know, it could stay on top of your mental fitness, your spiritual and your emotional fitness. And we need that because you can't focus on just eating well or sleeping well or working out well and expect it all to happen without being in the right mindset. So that's where the mental fitness comes in. But if you're not being kind to your mind, if you're not focusing on that mindset, you're missing out on the most important part of the process. So, what happens in the Hug It Out Collective, this Facebook group, is that I'm sharing personal videos with you. You're really getting one on one with me. We have other trauma informed practitioners like myself that are in the group. So you know that you are in a safe container, a safe space to share, to learn something, and to have fun. In fact, we even had our first monthly group self-havening session this week, right? With the full moon energy, with the new month, I wanted to kick it off right. And we had a beautiful, intimate group that was experiencing self-havening, many for the first time. So if you're interested, I want you to head on over to Facebook. I want you to join the Hug It Out Collective, and I want you to amplify turning those traumas into triumphs. I would love to have you. And I will put all that information in the podcast listen notes for you, so it is available to you to click on and check in anytime you want. But the sooner rather than later, right? All right, so it's August. And coincidentally, as I just mentioned, August 1st is the start of a full moon. In fact, this is a month that's very different from others because there's actually 2 supermoons. And not to get all woo-woo, but if you do follow the phases of the moon, they work like this. They help you like this. So the new moon is about creating new intentions, putting things out there in the world. What do you want to happen? The full moon is about clearing the space. And that's really important. There's a very important distinction about that. You don't want to focus on intentions right now. You want to focus on clearing, because when you clear the space, you create more space, right? You ever try to pour more water in a full cup? It's not going to work for you too well, right? It's the same idea. And I don't just mean the physical space. Of course, that's important. I'm talking about all kinds of space, right? That physical space is important. And I actually talked about it a little bit in a recent social media post about this, and I gave you a sneak peek as well, that my desk was a hot mess, right? It looked like a tornado in a frat house. I think that's pretty much how I explained it instead of a professional workspace. And man, when that clutter is in my space, in my office, I have a really hard time focusing, and for good reason. I am not creating a safe and clear space for me to create something new. Do you get like that too? Tell me if you do. Let me know I'm not alone in the battle. And this is psychological too. But here's the thing, it's not just about the physical, like I told you. It's about the emotional, it is about the mental, and it is certainly about the spiritual. Think about it. When you create that clearing, it's amazing how other things show up for you. For instance, if you are trying to eat healthy, but you keep grabbing that sleeve of Thin Mints, which I know it's hard, I've been there, you're going to run into the same issues, right? If you make a conscious choice, however, to stop eating the cookies, remove the cookies a little bit, or as we call it in the world of integrative nutrition, crowding out the foods that are not serving you, and perhaps bring something healthy into your diet, you're on the right path to making better choices for your health, right? Or maybe you have a packed closet, right? Beautiful clothes hanging there waiting for you. Well, if they're not all fitting you, why are they there? If it's something that's been in your closet for more than a year, why are you holding on to it, right? How about donating just one item? And if you're feeling a little spicy, maybe more than one item or things around your home, because there might be someone else that's in need, and then you feel good about what you're doing, right? The gratitude you have towards having something, that previously loved item that you call yours can now be somebody else's. And then it creates more space. And that space allows you to go out and maybe buy something brand new to put on that hanger that makes you feel handsome or sexy, right? Think about how that's going to make you feel, that it fits perfectly in this moment. Yeah, it's a win-win. And let's talk about relationships. I hear this one a lot with clients: toxic relationships, narcissistic relationships. When is now the right time to put those behind you? If you continue to keep the toxic around you, what do you think is going to keep showing up? What's going to come into your space? And what about those thoughts, right? Those self-doubt, negative self-talk thoughts. If you find yourself using words that are not positive towards yourself, what about considering replacing them with something else, right? The I can't can become the I am, right? For instance, if you are constantly using self-talk, negative self-talk, and you say something like, I can't lose weight, what if you choose a different line of dialogue, like, I am choosing to get healthy, right? I don't want another narcissistic partner. Okay, what about changing the I don't want into I love myself enough to bring in a nurturing, loving, well-rounded partnership? Words matter. When you do any of these, you're putting the positive spin on the energy. You're releasing that into the universe. And man, does that make a difference. And look, if you need help on any of this, and I understand it takes time to change a thought, mood, behavior, and habit, we talk about that a lot. You can reach out to me and we can have a little chatty chat. We can have a little heart to heart on how to get clear and what it takes to be kind to your mind and hug it out with yourself. I got you. And that's in the listen notes. So book your one-to-one with me and let's get that clarity happening today. So I want to keep this short, right? This little mid-month or midsummer kicker rather, because I have a lot of episodes coming your way, a lot of really great guests. I'm so psyched about what we're going to be sharing soon, and a lot of work to do to make this happen, okay? Because we have some changes that are going on here at the Holistically Speaking podcast that I'm really, really jazzed to tell you about. But I want you to consider that this episode is, like I said, that midsummer jumpstart, a loving kick in the butt from yours truly, okay? And I'm going to leave you with a challenge until we meet again. I want you to choose one thing to clear from your space as we're in this full moon energy. One thing, just one. It can be small. And look, again, if you're feeling spicy, you can do more than one. One thing to clear your space. But I want it to be intentional. And I want to know what you are willing to crowd out of your space, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of the above even, to create more room for something you want to bring into your life. What is it? Can you do that for yourself? I know you can. I know you have the capacity to do this. And if you don't, and you're wondering how to make it happen, again, reach out to me. Let's get clear on that. And then if you are going to up this action, this bold action, I want you to realize that you can't just manifest things alone. You have to actually put an action behind it, right? You can't just sit there and say, I want to lose weight and just hope it happens. You have to try going to the gym, get in the positive mindset, crowd out those thin mints. It takes action. So one action you can do, in addition to taking the actual action, is to let me know what you're doing. Let's amplify it. Let's declare it and share it. We talk about that a lot in the Hug It Out program. So I want you to share it. I want you to share it with me. I want you to level up. And again, you can do that by going to speakpipe.com/holistically speaking. If you don't want to share your voice, of course, you can just email me at holisticallyspeaking@gmail.com. Either way, whichever works for you, share it and declare it, because I will do a shout out on an upcoming episode to see where you are and to like add some good positive energy to the mix. Okay. You're going to do that for me? You're going to do that for yourself, rather? I know you will. All right. So it is full moon fever in full blast. We're going to do this again at the end of this summer because we have another full moon. But as we are in that first full moon fever right now at full throttle, I'm going to leave you with this. Be intentional, be brave, be vulnerable, because when you do that, my friend, then you are being your most courageous self, and you are making a powerful decision to be kind to your mind. I love you. I believe in you. And of course, I thank you for sharing this time with me. And I will see you soon.